Hi everybody and welcome to Impact. I'm Nick Barber, your host, and we want to thank you for watching and thank you for your comments. We love to hear from you and we have been hearing from you. Remember, contact us at impact@proctors.org by email or go to Facebook and like us. And now for our lineup on Impact this week. First is Philip Morris, our host for the art segment, and he'll have as a guest Annmarie Lanesey. Annmarie is from Green Tree Technologies, and she'll be talking about technology and the arts. Let's watch.
Welcome to Impact. I'm Philip Morris, CEO of Proctors, and I'm here on the arts segment, where the creative energies of the Capital District inform who we are. Our guest today is Annmarie Lanesey, who's the president of Green Tree Technologies. Now, Green Tree Technologies, what is this thing?
We do custom software developments. We build all kinds of applications for businesses and organizations, nonprofits, all kinds of stuff.
So give an example, yeah.
Okay, so right now we're working on a database project for the City University of New York, Baruch College. We're building their library database for their university library, and we're redoing the front end, the back end, all the way through.
Isn't that the kind of thing that would be packaged already? Libraries are everywhere.
They have a lot of packaged pieces that go in for like the searching and cataloging. So we plug in, integrate with those pieces, and then we build around those pieces to make it work within the context of the rest of the school's infrastructure.
Oh, interesting. So how do you find work?
We talk to people. A lot of our business comes word of mouth. People that like working with us tend to tell other people that they like working with us, and that's how most of it's come, generally speaking. So still the old-fashioned way.
Well, largely I do see technologies, especially coding and design, they're all about the creative force and the design issues around them and the human interaction. So can you talk about that, the human piece of it?
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, most of our work is on the web. We do web front ends, back ends, and then mobile. So, you know, the mobile apps, the iPhone and the Android devices. And all of those things need to interact with human beings. So the computer needs to talk to humans. So the human-computer interaction is a big part of that. It's fascinating, I think. It's interesting because I came out of more of an art background. I was doing multimedia and I was really trained fine art, multimedia art. I have a master's of fine art. So coming out of that into really hardcore technology actually really informed that because it's creative. I mean, software, coding, all of that is all, essentially it's a lab environment, it's a creative space. People need to be free to express their ideas and do things differently, and it's really a big piece of it. So
it's like a painter. It's a big white canvas. You're starting off with a canvas, and you got edges. You know what the edges are. It's going to be a system around the library sciences, but after that, the rest of it's a white canvas.
Right, exactly.
Do you test the human interaction stuff?
Yep, we do a lot. We do actually some automated testing where the computer tests that the code actually works the way it's supposed to, and then we do the user interaction, which is then, actually is the user using it the way we intended them to. So that's pretty fascinating.
Well, talk about your art background.
Well, I was trained through RPI in the Electronic Arts program. Many people are familiar with that now because of the Impact building that they built over there for the Electronic Media Performing Arts. So I was doing video art and documentary film. So I was doing that sort of, my goal was that I would do that as a profession and I would, make my art and make a wonderful living doing such, and perhaps also teach. A lot of my colleagues from graduate school when I was doing that are all, teaching now in academia. And I did some of that, but my trajectory kind of took a turn, and I was doing that, but I'm also making things of like kind of practical use for, organizations of all types.
So you had a documentary film that sounded kind of interesting.
I did, yep. In 2006, I started a project called Sittin' on a Million, which is about the history of the red light district in Troy. So I grew up in Troy, I lived in Troy my entire life, and I was working when I was in college as a waitress at a local restaurant, and someone came in and was a regular and was telling me how there was this thriving red light district at the turn of the century. And my jaw just dropped because of course I thought he was, what is he talking about? I've never heard this story. And so I was fascinated more so by the fact that I never heard the story and that the history was being kind of lost in the younger generations really didn't know about this stuff. So my grandmother, who was probably 85 at the time, I asked her, you were around then. Was there a red light district in Troy at the turn of the century? And she said, oh golly, she started telling me all this stuff. And she said we couldn't go down there, we couldn't walk near, all this stuff. So we started doing basically an oral history project to find out, try to uncover this story that wasn't documented, but people of a certain age all knew. And there was never a book written on it. There was really nothing. So we set out to do a creative project, but also a history project to kind of get some kind of record before the people that knew the memories could, we could collect them. So we did that, and it took about 2 years, from 2006 to 2008. We produced a 30-minute documentary. It's, like I said, it's called Sitting on a Million. It premiered in Troy, the Sanctuary for Independent Media. We had 400 people show up to our premiere for a locally produced documentary. I thought that was a large audience. We had 3 screenings that were filled, and most of the audience loved it. I mean, people really enjoyed it.
So where's the title come from?
She was said to have said to women.
She who?
She being, okay, so
The
I should
mistress.
backtrack. There was one world-famous madam which is why this red light district was supposedly well known throughout the world, which is part of how the story just gets more strange and strange. Troy, world famous red light district, and you think of Amsterdam and you think of those kinds of places. Not that I was all that interested in this subject matter before the project, but it was just fascinating that it was an undocumented women's history, and I wanted to kind of understand. We knew all about Legs Diamond, we knew all about the bootleggers, but we didn't understand this side of women's history in our local community. So she was told to have said, when she was going around recruiting girls, she would go into shops where maybe a woman was working at the front counter, and she would say, "How much do you make here?" And she would tell her, "What you can make $100 a week." And then she would say, "You're sitting on $1 million, honey." It's kind of grotesque, but it's a funny title. And we would hear that story over and over and over again. So it was kind of how we picked our title for the film.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's really fabulous. I teach a class in public administration. We talk about historiography, the history of history, the study of bias. And certainly you cracked a bias, because 30 years later, there might not have been this story that you unearthed.
Right.
And that often histories are more about the tellers than about the original story. So,
and that's what we found.
yeah, that's very
There's a little piece in our film where one person describes her as having dark hair, the next one has red hair, the next one she's tall, the next one she's small. And we edited it all together to kind of show that we don't really know any of the accuracy of what people are telling us, but it's more interesting to see people tell their own version of the history.
Could have given it to the police department and had them do a composite portrait to see what they come up with. Right?
Yeah,
it would be pretty humorous. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So what do you see in the future? This creative spirit you have, clearly. Yeah. You're in design mode intensely.
Yeah.
What would you love to be doing?
Well, I love what I'm doing now, which is really fun. But it's funny because I just within the last couple of years brought my kind of art making and my sort of more, I don't even know, I don't really call the software side art making, but the creative practice of my commercial art, I guess, or commercial space together. And I've sort of been able to embrace that, because for a long time, I couldn't quite understand. These are kind of different worlds, but in the last couple of years, they've really been able to come together, and I've really been able to embrace that you can be in this space of both really together, and they kind of really help one another in a lot of ways. But I've been painting I started painting about 10 years ago, and I kind of started making this one painting over and over and over again, and I kind of thought, oh, that's just the most silly painting in the world. And the last few years, I really embraced my paintings, which is funny because I never would have thought. I really was always doing video and film and that kind of stuff, and it's become more very, very much about paint on canvas. So that's how I've been expressing my creative side lately, and I really love it, which I've embraced, because I always thought they were, they really weren't my real art, but now they're becoming my real art, which is kind of interesting.
Well, I totally agree. The notion of arts and sciences merging, I mean, it's a joke in my house, arts and science merge, but they are. The creative energy required for both sides of it is identical.
Oh, absolutely. Exactly. Yeah.
So what's the dream project at Green Tree? Something you haven't even, what would you just go, wow, I'd love to build that?
We're actually about to launch a project that it was exactly this piece. We have a project that we're putting out that we built for ourselves, because a lot of our work is for clients. We started our company because we were making a piece of software for the legal industry, and then we got busy doing custom for all kinds of organizations. But we are starting to build a project now that we built for sort of ourselves, and that's having to do with the in the last several years, becoming cheap has actually gotten quite cool, and it's in that sort of space where everybody's looking to continue to save money with the economy. But we've got this big project we're about to launch in a couple weeks that I'm really excited about, because it does have a national kind of reach. So we're going to go after, the PR and all of that, so we can actually do a really good push of it.
Wow, cool.
So
You can't tell us?
it's still top secret at this point, but I will be sure to tell you as soon as it comes out.
And it's around being cheap. I love it.
Yeah.
Cheap chic.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Really cool. I just bought a cheap chic stool today.
Good.
Yesterday, last night. Just really lovely.
Good.
Annmarie, thank you very much for joining us. It's been a delight. I'm going to be watching you because you're going to be doing great stuff. Keep painting, keep making good software, keep doing good stuff.
Thank you.
From Impact, this is Philip Morris with Annmarie Lanesey of Green Tree Technologies. Thank you.